Operations Manager and Pollution Control. We'll turn it over to our supervisor of the Water Quality Branch, This is Warkila Tyson Winston.
Good morning, everyone. I will start by calling the roll. James Brown, Mike Swanson, Chris Oracle,
Present.
Dr. Taylor, Representative.
Present.
Terry Perkins, Dave Harrison,
Present.
Quentin Clark,
Present.
Alex Hensley,
Here.
David McCray.
Here.
You all received a copy of the minutes. I'm trying to get you all have a moment to look at it for Mr. Marshall to ask for approval.
We've reviewed our minutes here for the August 10th. We need a motion to approve these. A motion to approve the August 10th or any discussion prior to that. Motion for approval. I second. All in favor, say aye. 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 Any opposed? Ayes have it. At least passed without any further discussion. On the agenda today, we have our call of order. We have a quorum today of board members that have been appointed. We do need to note that I think Mr. David Harrison here mentioned that we have a vacancy for the city of Millington. We will need to get a letter out to the city of Millington. Let them know they need to provide us with a person for this board. In addition, we do still have a city of Memphis at large position. I think that would be well in letter, sent in letter form to the city, to the mayor. Do we have any other vacancies that we're aware of? Okay. Today we have a hearing of an appeal for a Class B water well to be constructed on the property. I have the address listed here, located within a 100-year flood zone for commercial usage. This is an appeal by Gene Yoder for 5281 Brunswick Road. So if you can go ahead and come on up to discuss what you have for us, please. And we have the property up here on the...
You want me to come in here, or where would you like?
Generally, we come to the mic, but I think there's a small group here. You can just kind of stand at the horseshoe here, you're probably fine. Unless you need a place to put your papers down.
Good.
Maybe just let us know about, what you're trying to accomplish here, and why there was an appeal and why it wasn't allowed by the county. So, okay. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you guys for being here and allowing me this opportunity to present this. So, my wife and I purchased this farm 2 years ago. The reason we purchased it was because it was an old home site. It has very beautiful, big, tall trees. Just a beautiful place. It was the former owner had left, sort of just vacated the property, and I grew up on a farm in Paris, Tennessee, and when I saw this farm, it reminded me so much of my parents' farm. And so what we're doing is we're going in, cleaning it all up, and we plan to build a barn dominium on this place. And all it's going to be for is to create a space where my kids can go to the farm. We're going to have some chickens, maybe eventually some animals or whatever, but we just want to give them a farm experience and give them a place where they can go to shoot basketball and just have birthday, get-togethers or whatever. And we will not be living there. Shelby County has already issued us the building permit for the barn. Here is designs of the barn that we're going to be building on the property. We already have that permit, everything in place here from Shelby County to do so. And so basically, we've had to go in and we've had to raise the pad, build a pad. We actually started that already last year, so that pad could sit, settle, and be, very well put together when we start building. And so we plan to start that building process possibly in the next 2 weeks, if everything gets approved. And so basically, I'm asking the board to approve us being able to have a water well, and the reason for that is Bartlett currently has a 2-inch line that goes right by the property on our side of the road. However, the situation is they don't feel like they can give us adequate water pressure. There's water literally to the south, to the north, west, and east of the property. But they're saying that it's a 2-inch line, and in order to bring that water to the barn, which is 350 feet off the road, they're saying that your water pressure would just be very, very minimal. So, the only water that we would be using there would be for, we like to have a garden. We like to teach our kids gardening things. And that would be to, if we have chickens or goats or whatever there, we need water for that. And then we're going to have a kitchen sink in the barn dominium and things like that. We would need water for that sort of thing. So, JW and Associates, they went and designed the well and what it would look like per Shelby County code. I can pass that around to you if you like. We also had a surveyor sent out there to basically write a letter of confirmation showing how far we would have to raise it to be on top of the floodplain. And then, of course, the engineer and I had several conversations in regard to how do we effectively build this structure to where it's just well put together. And in my opinion, being a builder in the construction business, I feel like that the casing that sticks up out of the ground should be protected all the way around. I have seen several other designs where the casing was built, or the structure for it was built, but the casing was open. And my opinion is I wouldn't want my kids, playing around out there and do something to it or whatever. So what we proposed, or what he drew up was, I will pass these two around if you want to look at these. We've got, oh, you've got these, okay, okay. So anyway, that's basically, we would go, he put in here that we would do 4x4 posts. I think we can do 6x6s, and then of course encase it with well-treated wood all the way around. And basically what you'd have is you'd have that well would be
Head east toward
very
Waterfowl
well,
Lane.
all the way around cased. We would then come back and put fill dirt in like he said in the engineering drawings and so forth. Then my proposal, how do you access that? And that would be via a wood ladder that I would personally feel like I would want to remove or put in place. I don't want my kids crawling up on this thing and playing around or whatever. So I would want to have the ability to remove that ladder so that they do not have access to it. So basically, if my kids are out there playing, all they're going to be able to see is a wall. Basically, that's what it would be. So, does anyone have any questions?
My first question is to the county. Why was the well? They have the side. It's a small well. So, what was the reason that it was not allowed and it required for an appeal?
It's totally in the
Flood zone. Flood zone. Okay, so I hear, and we're not particularly here on the building code, but I just want to make sure you that building code as well. I mean, we're here for the wells, but your structure may need to have some verify the building code, even though it's been approved, just to make sure that you can actually build there. I do see some other structures. Where do you intend to build your barn home here?
So this is Brunswick Road right here. We are going to be building right here. This is where the proposed site is.
Is that low? I see a tree line. Is that just a fence, or is there a creek running through there?
Actually, this was the old home site right here. And so this is open right here, but yeah, there's woods that basically, it's surrounding, woods, that sort of thing, basically. Yeah, this here was the old Culver home site. And so basically, we're not having to clear any trees or anything. It's already open. It just needed to be. To your question on the code, we had to bring in Poe Engineering to make sure that building in the floodplain, number one, we're part of the floodplain, but that we are Shelby County required a significant amount of us showing this structure is well put together.
I'm just curious, are you going to be above, are you still going to be subject to flooding?
Yeah,
Have you built it up enough where you're
have.
not going to be in that floodplain? But
That
you're
is-
not building up fill.
Yes. Based on the milestone land surveying, we had to build that up 4.5 feet.
And where do you propose to put your well on the site?
On this site, we are proposing to put it, the barn would be right here, and then it would be at least 15 feet away from it, it'd be right here.
And that's what you would build up. You have a structure, and do we have the pictures? Is there any way you can show us the floodplain picture? I know you gave us that, but is it up there? The green crosshatch is showing us the floodplain. Is that correct?
It's in a basically a 1% flood elevation. It's a 1% chance.
Maybe it all off.
Okay, so if you put it up back What we don't see is the code, is actually the actual, the legend that is shown. But I think it must be the crosshatch. We can see the legend. Can you hold the legend, please?
Is this lit? No, this is lit.
Go. Maybe you may have to do a refresh, and maybe hidden under your bar up there. If you did F5 or refresh for you, function F5.
Maybe I'm not understanding really what.
We found it in the packet.
Oh, it's in
It's already in the packet.
Alright, so on our packet of things, there is the same picture with cross hatching showing the floodplain. And it does have the legend below it.
In the packet, it shows that there was an overhang as well. There is a has not been sealed properly. Is that what's shown in the packet?
There was a well, yes, right here at the home site, roughly right around here. We had Wilson Well from Fayette County come out and verify that it was closed and shut down. Now, maybe what you are referencing to is there appears to be an old cistern that was on the property. That is basically a hole in the ground. There never was any permit pulled for it. I talked to JW and Associates in regards to that. And he said, based on his understanding of the Shelby County Code, in his opinion, it's a hole in the ground. There's nothing active about it. There's nothing. He referenced several different cases that basically just said he views it as a hole in the ground. He said, now if you want to cover it up, you cover it up. Whatever you want to do, that's up to you. What I had asked Miss Veronica about was possibly restoring it back to an old hand pump that, I don't know. I had just asked the question, could you restore it like they had back in the old days? It was one of those old, hand pumps. I don't think we're going to go, but in my opinion now, I think I would just leave it as it is. It currently has a block of concrete across it.
Mr. Yanner, just for the sake of understanding, I think what we're discussing, it is in our packet. I don't know that here it's labeled as a water well. Now that may have been an interpretation of what we're seeing here. I'd like to go ahead and hand this to you so you can see what we're discussing. It says it's a water well. Is that something that was labeled?
That's staff. She did a site visit, so you kind of go over what you need a site visit with this.
Now, it's not unusual that we have
ran across some wells that was undocumented. So when we ran across that, you see, this concrete was off of it. The light we had was not, it was just our telephones, we weren't expecting it. But we still, the closest stick we could find in there, and we touched it all. So I can't say yay or nay, but as wide as it is, what came to my mind when I saw that was that initial well where the little baby that fell in the well, that's where my mind went when I saw that. So when I came back and I looked, and I cannot say it's not because it could have been an undocumented well from our standpoint. There is definitely something here.
Mr. Yoder, is that the site that you were discussing is, to your knowledge, a cistern and not a well?
That is correct.
Yeah. Based on, was that an engineer which engineering firm again did they have?
It was this gentleman right here. I meant to ask him to send me a letter similar to that, confirming his reasoning that it's just a hole in the ground. We have taken, obviously, steps to keep anything or anybody from attempting anything, securing it, making sure no kid or something like that would fall in there.
It obviously has a piece of concrete. It was something that was designed, and I don't even know if this is even logical, but in an old time, maybe it was an outhouse. You don't know.
You really don't, yeah.
And so, I mean, somehow there's a hole in the ground that's collecting water. And whether it was a well or whether it was a cistern or whether it was an outhouse, or we don't know why that's there. It obviously needs to be addressed. Anybody else have anything to discuss on this well, or questions, or anything, any other direction? This is a small well. It is apparently needed for water. It is in the flood zone. They have a design to extend it beyond the flood zone. How much will it extend beyond the flood zone to the actual wellhead?
The wellhead will extend at least 2 feet per Shelby County code above the so the ground elevation is 251.3, flood elevation out of the flood zone is 256.2. The top of the well casing would be 258.2 at a min.
Okay. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I was just gonna ask, I know, we have the public comments on the agenda, and I appreciate that. Do you wanna go ahead with those?
We can allow them, and we don't have a procedure at this point. We can't allow public comment, but I think we'll be limited to a few minutes to do such at this point. I would suggest no more than 3 minutes per any. 2 minutes, okay, we have it modified to 2 minutes. We don't have a specific procedure this time. This would be our fulfillment of that, the requirement.
I think we can finish this business first, and then got it on the agenda next. We don't put a vote. We have this money, we have the agenda, the public comments and all. So we don't necessarily.
We don't vote on that. Comment.
Yeah, I guess I'm asking, I'm just thinking about the Shelby County Commission, for example, or City Council, they take public comment before even the board starts asking questions, kind of to have a community informing our decision. So I would just prefer to do that before we take any kind of vote.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Oh, okay.
We can finish this up, then that's I think highest discount on the agenda.
Okay, that sounds good.
Mr. Gray, have your expertise on what you're going to do, what you're saying.
Well, I can tell you historically, we've filled and abandoned a lot of cisterns in the past. That it's still an opening, a potential opening to aquifer. Potential for contamination is obviously there. It's so I would think you'd want to abandon it. Now, the big thing is we don't know how big it is. We really need to know. The depth would tell you a lot, and the size would tell you. But I would think you'd either need to bring it up to standard, especially if you were going to put a pump on it. You'd have to bring it to standard. And if you don't, I would think you want to still abandon because you've got potential.
Yes, sir. My question would be, is there a way forward to bring it up to standard? Or would the board see that more as that's going to be too challenging, let's just abandon it? I could go either way.
Well, if you want to bring it up, you're going to have to get a permit.
Yeah.
You're going to have to get a permit, and it's going to have to meet the county's, requirements. So
I guess
it might be more trouble than it's worth.
That's
just
I
my
think
opinion.
it's sort of my question. Is it up to you? Yeah. The thing that we're trying to do here as a family is create a space where our kids want to go to not go to Memphis and do stupid stuff. We all know sort of what's been happening with Memphis as a whole, and I want to teach my kids good, solid values. And I feel like I can do that by teaching them how to garden, teaching them how to take care of animals, things like that. So the well thing there, I am 100% good with abandoning that.
So that raises a couple of things. So first off, I think that the board, I think our rules and requirements are that you would have to get into technology.
I'd be more than
So
willing to do
the
that.
second thing is, either something your opinion on this well over the floodplain. Have you, if you're with us, you have our roof raised and what he's proposing, our opinion on this?
Yeah, I've seen this done before. This is pretty standard construction to get it above the floodplain. Now, is your sewer, are you hooking to a sewer, or are you using septic?
We are. The city of Bartlett allowed us to tap into their sewer. Their sewer goes right by. Here is, we were paid to tap the city of Bartlett sewer. So I knew the septic was going to be a major issue in a floodplain deal, so very grateful to the city of Bartlett for allowing us to handle us through this.
Yeah.
I have a few questions. So I know it mentioned that there's access to public water supply, and you said that there wouldn't be enough water pressure. What would be needed to be able to get the water pressure that you need
That is a great
by
question.
using public water?
Okay, that's a great question. I had a conversation with the city of Bartlett on that. Their thing was we would have to go in and I would have to pay to tear out the 2-inch and restore it to a 6-inch line. I am friends with all these neighbors here. You got the Brunswick Kitchen right here. You got the Brunswick Feed Store. Every one of these neighbors are complaining about water pressure. The Brunswick Kitchen, they have had to go and put some kind of pump where they have water.
Booster pump.
Yeah, there you go. That's right. They've had to do that. The owner has told me on several occasions it's a nightmare. And in my opinion, the city of Bartlett, they take such a nonchalant, they just don't really are motivated to do anything because the the city of Bartlett stops right here. We're in a Shelby County non-incorporated area. So on several occasions, they just looked at me and said, son, the city of Bartlett's just not our promise. Somebody back in the day was a buddy of somebody and they got that done. That's what their thing to me was. So having talked to all these neighbors, they all said, if you can get that well, you're going to be so much happier with the well than that one that's coming through that two-inch line. Does that answer your question?
I think so. Yeah, and I guess I'm also curious if you all will not be living there, what plans you have to conserve the water, making sure it's not flowing.
Yes. Well, so we live in Lakeland, right there where the Lakeland School is, right off the C-10. So the farm is 7 minutes from my house. So I'm literally there every day, pretty much. I mean, unless we're out of town or something. So I have a full-time farmhand that we have there as well. So conserving the water is absolutely one of our goals. And I don't want the water just running or whatever. So I believe that we would, since we're so close, able to be there and, day in, day out, I believe that we can very well effectively do that.
I think to that point, that we have great water. We want to keep our great water. And as far as conservation goes, we have not, because we have a lot of rain here, because we have somewhat, we may not have been as conservation minded. There are other parts of the country that are in very, very dry areas that have very strict conservation rules. Well, those are not in place at this time. We do think that it would be to the advantage of every resident within the county to consider methodologies to conserve what they have. When at times if they're going to water, you're going to use it for irrigation. What times of the day does that happen? In terms of evaporation, heat. Certain times of the day is more advantageous to water versus probably the middle of the day. Probably not the best time to do that.
Yeah.
We have an irrigation system.
Will not have any irrigation systems. The only thing, again, that I would see that we're in need of water is, of course, when we're there at the barn, just sometimes your kids got to get dirty or whatever. And then if there ever are animals there, and I'm talking a whole herd of cows, I'm talking 3 or 4 goats, a few chickens. It's going to be sort of a small mini deal. We would need water for those. I just really see that there would be very minimal amount of water. The only other thing would be just simply, if we plan to have quite a few, or when I say quite a few, 5 or 6 of these garden potting things, that they build up, put potting soil in. We plan to have a few of those, teaching the kids how to grow tomatoes, how to garden, effectively. And so maybe 5 gallons of bucket of water for that if it's in a dry area. But other than that, that is really all of the water that's going to
Is there a reason it's listed as residential then?
Well, I mean, Veronica and I had several discussions about that. In her opinion, she's wanting to do a commercial. In my opinion, it's more residential. But again, it's hey, I don't know. They know more than I do in regard to that. But I'm giving you the truth of what we're using and how you want to deem it as commercial or residential. That would be the city of, Shelby County.
I think on this application form we did mark on that head written the water lines like a farm.
Yes, there's like 3 different applications.
Yeah, and I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
I didn't exactly know, I mean, I don't have a billy goat out there right now, but I plan eventually to have a billy goat out there. But what's going to come first is the barn is going to come first, and there's going to be restrooms in the barn. And then I've got to talk my city wife into getting chickens and a goat or two. So she's not so fond of this farm country life as I am, because I grew up on 600 acres in Paris, Tennessee, and we had to feed chickens before we had breakfast every day. I mean, that's just how I grew up. So that's, you know, back when I was a kid, I thought that was the dumbest thing ever, but now I see the values that taught me, and that's what I want for my kids. So.
Yeah, I was asking, and this is really less about you and your applications. I think this is just something for the board to consider is what measures we have in place when someone applies for a well for a specific use, and if that is changed in the future, I think we need to have some measures in place I think that speaks to the conservation of water, that if somebody installs a well 5 years ago and then builds a house on the same property, not saying we would do this, again, this is just a general question. I think that's something that we need to account for if we don't already. But I appreciate your answer. Thank you.
And just to note, we do consider that as a commercial permit, and one that we require a 7-foot on as well. So we did not, unless there's a structure, a house, other than living quarters, that's what we consider residential.
Now, this will have, I mean, we're not going to be living there, but this will be finished out with a kitchen. It will have a bedroom. We're not going to be living there, but if I want to have a barn sleepover with my boys or whatever, or with some other buddies, I mean, we're going to be able to do that. So, and again, I'm not trying to sway you to go residential versus commercial. I'm just trying to give you the truth so you can see it for what it is.
I guess does the health department have any more comments as far as the application will submit?
Well, with the, just now saying that they're gonna have sleepovers, they're big ones. You may consider it to be, but for right now, you are not planning that.
Yes, you're talking about the finish.
For the sleeping quarters, the bedrooms.
When I went to Shelby County, they said go commercial. So I went commercial. When we got 3/4 way through commercial, he said, why are you not going residential? And I said, well, I thought we were going commercial. He said, you're going to end up finishing this front end out of it at some point. Tell me the truth. And I said, you know what, if I'm going to build a 50 by 130 barn, you're probably right. And then they turned it and went residential. I had to go get a full architect drawing, co-engineering in there, and we redid everything. So right now, this permit that I pulled with Shelby County is for a barn with the finishing it out, the front 50 by 50, finishing it out to have a living quarter. So the plan that I submitted and got a permit for, yeah, it's all going to be. And this is the design of the barn. So what? Yeah, it'll be finished out. It'll have a bedroom, bathroom, shower. That there is not the full-blown plans. I should have brought the full-blown plans. That shows the finish out. Yeah, that has been right.
They're included in the package, full plans that you guys are included in the package.
In the packet, okay.
Okay, regarding regarding the well, is there any other comment? Because really we're here, it's good to know as a whole how the site is laid out. I think the county may be saying that there may be some differences, whether it's residential or whether it's commercial. How does that change the permitting for the well? Can the county help us, health department help us understand that?
Well, normally, if it's residential, we have those, the design of the bedrooms, or the living quarters included in the same package. But since they're connected to Bartlett, Bartlett may end up, we don't want them to deny our permit because we have that information before the meeting.
Yes, yes. And I will tell you this, to your point, this whole thing kept evolving and evolving sort of over a period of time. So what I initially intended, it is, you know, the Shelby County Code guy and I were just going back and forth, and now this is where it's at. It's going to have the ability to have living quarters, and the design that the architect drew has got your upstairs bedrooms, you know, all of that.
So, from the health department, is that, Ms. Tyson, is that something that you all need with this application then? Is that what you?
Yes, because he may end up needing a larger suite for those purposes, so.
Based on what conversations I have with the well people, and what I'm, you know, using it for dating things, that was their opinion. But just saying what.
Just something for discussion. I still want to hear public comment, but just wondering if the board might be willing to hold this off for a meeting until we get more information. Would that help you all?
What other information are you looking
The amount of bedrooms, unless Mr. McCray gives information on if this will suffice.
Well, this, you know, it all goes back to what he really is going to use it for. As far as the number of bedrooms, the 4-inch well is fine. Now, if he starts watering a herd, you know, he can put some stress on the well. You know, and if he starts planting, you know, 30 or 40 acre garden, but he says he's not going to do that. So, I mean, that's going to get into who's going to go. You know, to your point that she was asking about checking on this, I mean, you could have somebody that's a new staff going
One other
around
thing
checking.
that he submitted an application for soybeans, it's going to be $30,000. So the amount of water to sustain the soybean.
Yeah, yeah. That the farm ground is leased to Paint Farms. They farm it. There is zero irrigation intended on that. I'm not interested in putting a full-blown farming irrigation system where we're watering crops. That will not happen. I get paid so much an acre from Mr. Payne to lease that. That's it. I'm not into farming operation other than leasing a piece of land. I would ask that you consider voting to move forward. I have a lot of materials already in place to build a barn. I feel like we're more than happy to submit full plans showing the two upstairs bedrooms that will be built into the barn. There's just, I would rather, if the board can see that a way forward with it, I would rather move it and install the project. That's just my.
I'm curious about the soybeans, this being included. I know you said that you aren't in that business, but is there a reason this was included in the packet? And will what I'm asking is, will the well be used for this as well?
No, ma'am, the well will not be allowed, I mean, it won't even be able to really effectively, where the well's proposed to go, would not even make sense, where you want a well to, if you had the intention of watering the crop.
Where is the crop?
The cropland is back, the cropland is over here and back here. So the well's going here, you have to go through these woods right here. It's the lay of the land here, having been raised in the farming operation. My father had an irrigation system. The lay of this land, you couldn't even effectively put an irrigation system on that because of the way an irrigation system has to function. You need more of a square piece of farmland in order to effectively irrigate. And with this only being 50 acres tillable, having an irrigation system wouldn't even make financial sense in doing that.
At this time, is there any other further discussion, anything that the health department would like to share with us? Is there anything else that the board members need to ask or clarify?
So here you're a lot of information back and forth. Is there anything about the application you get amended or something, or that doesn't make them satisfied?
I see questions for the individual aspect of the application. When we do our permits, we want to, if it's strictly residential, then it would not be a quasi-public complete. But with the farm and the livestock, we consider it to be quasi-public.
Based on what I heard, it sure sounds like a residential well to me. But, I mean, I don't know. I'm not saying it is, but and the 4-inch would be suitable for residential. But with all these boxes checked,
That's the main question. Are you that's my question. Are you asked to, if the application is redone based on what's stated here, is there anything else that would be?
No, except the flood zone issue, that's how they put it in the flood zone. Because the Bartlett had told us, well, no, we do not be in the flood zone, we would not be.
Because it would have been approved outside.
It would have been approved.
Outside of those.
Any further discussion at this time? We don't have any motions presently for this well. We'll need a motion, right? I get here.
We just need to, we make a motion to hold this until after the public comment section.
Do I hear a motion?
Any motion?
I'll second.
At this point, we'll have any amendments to that motion? Would like to go ahead and take that to a vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Aye. Okay.
We were voting on it after we had a public comment section. So this, before we know this, yeah.
I'm done.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate it.
Okay, do we have any? So we've heard this discussion, and now we're talking about any public comment on this particular well, and I suppose in general, public comment. We have 2 minutes for anyone that would like to be recognized for public comment.
So I would like this together board. I think that we probably need to think they put a packet in here about the rule that for the state that went in there, so I think we need to review that. But I think that we also need to set what that's gonna be, because I think it requires us to say what we expect. Typically, I think you add 2 minutes as a limit, and they can put an overall limit of 20 minutes for all comments, so that we're supposed to be able to hear things, but we'll have to just make it infinite.
Right.
So I think as a board, we need to consider that this month, for this time period, we can just go forward. And typically, I think they have people state their name, address, things like that, so we can have, that's part of public records. So we might have to have, fill out a sheet, they just say their name and address, they don't make a public comment or something, so we have it for the record.
Thank you, Mr. Clark.
To that, I think we don't have to get as specific as maybe the commission or whatever, how they get, but maybe having an area where they're commenting on like which appeal, if they're commenting on, like if we have more than one appeal in the meeting, so we have that on the record with under commenting.
They do, yes, say what they're talking about in public sections, then they declare what they're saying, they don't necessarily have the right to know what they're saying, because they could be talking about anything. At that point, yeah, they could be talking about anything. So they can say that when they come up.
Okay.
So it's actions that want about that.
So if there's anyone in our audience that would like to comment, 2-minute maximum discussion, please come forward, state your name and your.
Just stand in the middle.
You can come on up here. Yeah, what's Notice this, we're trying to get a routine here because we don't have a routine. Sorry, Scott. Please state your name as suggested, and your address. And what it is you want to comment on.
Okay, I'll watch the time. My name's Scott Schaefer. Address is 2159 Riverdale Road, Germantown, Tennessee. Just a comment on the appeal from today. 2 questions that I have would be what depth the well was going to and what aquifer it was going into. Because if you drill to about, 65 feet, you'd be in the shallow aquifer for the Loosahatchee River connected to that. But if you go deeper, you probably get a confinement unit and then get into the Memphis about 110 to 150 feet. So those are the questions that kind of need to be addressed from my standpoint, and also looking at breaches in the area. According to recent research by University of Memphis, Caesar, and MLTW, there's a suspected breach about 0.75 miles from that site. So again, concerned that if you drill down into it, it's fine with the amount of water that they're pulling, but if it's residential, it should be more than 50 gallons a minute or something like that. But again, if you drill through a breach and you start developing in that area, there'd be a concern for their well, because they'll pull in, if there's a gas station that goes in that Brunswick Road, I guess, and whatever highway that is, that'd be a contaminant concern in the future. So, not there yet, but again, y'all kind of need to consider that. So, that's my comment.
Okay.
Good.
And we have, the board has, as far as the application, it's a 200-foot depth.
Okay.
Plus, 200 plus is what's listed on the well application.
Okay, cool.
Thank you for your comment. Any other comments in the audience? Okay, 2 minutes, if you can be granted, please.
Mine are more general, not necessarily specific to this case, so want me to hold it for after? All right, I'm going.
2 minutes, please. And if we can have time, please state your name.
Cut me off at 2. Hi everybody, my name is Sarah Houston. I serve as the Executive Director of Protect Our Aquifer. I reside at 200 Wagner Place, 38103. And mostly today, I'm very thankful for this opportunity to make a formal public comment. The discussion that was just held about the process related to this formal public comment, it is now state law to have this requirement. And so this is something that needs to be amended in the rules and regulations of the Shelby County Code related to the Groundwater Board's operation. So there is some information in the packet that staff provided to you today. But I want to take a couple minutes to emphasize the points that were submitted in that letter that we sent on October 2nd to the Groundwater Board members and to the staff. The majority of the work that y'all have done over the past few years has been related to appeals. And that, is very important, but, we really feel strongly at POA that this body play a more active role to fulfill the powers it was granted. We have a very special authority here in Shelby County. TDEC grants us this every 5 years to run our own groundwater program. And so we have a lot of ability to think about the long-term sustainability of this resource. And so thinking about the very first, point in the comment letter was this ability to comment. So thank you for that. Also would like to see that this comment opportunity is moved to the beginning of the agenda so that the comments could be either related to the cases or a more general comment. So just think about the order of operations that this opportunity does fall into. There may be some neighbors nearby on other industrial wells or other residential wells that might want to have a comment related to their property adjacent to that. So thinking about the relevance of public comments to the decisions that you would be making. And then thinking about the actual meeting notice procedure, right now it's kind of tricky to locate when these meetings happen and any relevant information to them. So as stated in the letter, if you look at kind of page 3, there's a series of bullet points. And these are all related to best practices that we have seen in other county commissions and boards. So we think of the Groundwater Board similar to the Land Use Control Board. You've got a wonderful staff to support as administrative and informational, and then you all serve in this more volunteer capacity, but with some pretty broad powers. So thinking about how, you can have more access, the public can have more access and transparency to when these meetings are held, having a virtual option. Right now, Protect Our Aquifer has served this role of reporting these, so there is a record beyond just written minutes of these meetings, and we have that record since 2016, but we really feel strongly this should be the role of the county to provide that access to the public. We will continue to serve that role, but this is something that the county really needs to consider, maintaining that open access. And then, there's a bunch of other bullet points we can get into, but the last thing I wanted to emphasize is that there should be 2 additional county representatives here today. We did specifically ask Dr. Michelle Taylor, our health director, to attend today. She has a seat on the board. She's never attended these meetings, and we understand the charge that she has is very huge, it's very important, the work that the health department does. But this is something that, just having the opportunity to see the work that you do and the work that is to come, that's something we feel important that she sits in at least one meeting to understand that. And lastly, the staff attorney. We need to make sure that there is a staff attorney here to help y'all understand these rules and regulations, decipher these points of order that often come up, and having that consistent person available as your resource should be something that you continue to advocate for and we will continue to push for. So with that, I will conclude my comments and look forward to speaking with y'all on this meeting talk. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other comment?
Yeah, I guess. I'll make it quick.
Okay, when we have the 2 minutes, if you can just raise your fingers and we'll.
Yes.
So make sure you sign to the name for the record. That's all.
Need your name, please, and your address.
Jim Kavar, I live at 1957 Jackson, 38107. And I just would like to emphasize, this is for the board primarily. If you read the ordinances, there's a whole list of duties. Duties, powers, responsibilities. And I would urge the board members to read that. Because at this point, it seems as if these proceedings are only about digging wells, and those duties cover a huge range of activities they have to do with the aquifer. So that's my simple comment, and I urge you to look at those lists of duties.
Thank you. Any other comment, any other public comment at this point? Hearing none, we need to still have a matter at hand, I believe. Is that we can go ahead, a motion, any kind of motion on this appeal for this well. We need a motion on whether we're going to perhaps approve or potentially put it off till later.
It's not a motion, but does any board member have a feel for what they would like to see as far as with this application? I think we have enough information provided. Is there any caveats you want to add to it or not?
I mean, from my feeling, I do believe it is at this point, it's residential. They may have some livestock, but at this point, it does not appear to be a commercial operation. And it's not being used for irrigation for farming. That is my opinion at this point. So I think we're okay to approve it as residential. It seems to be more residential. It's leaning toward residential. That would be my.
Does the application just need to be amended to make it reflect or review the application?
No, we can use that application.
We can use that.
Okay.
Okay. So I would like to see the existing well before you advance, and none needs to be abandoned partially, but the system needs to be abandoned. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, is there a process for that? For checking back in?
And staff can make sure it happens before we proceed with the new well. Is that correct?
That's correct. In the past, depending on the report that we get back from the well driller, they have been allowed to go ahead and proceed with the new well in the past. And have a time period to fill in that the other way. But normally that's when it was maybe some type of collapse in that hole.
It's not being used. I would just recommend that it's abandoned first before the new well's like.
Does a cistern, I have one, does a cistern fall under the well, I'm not sure what that are.
I believe it does.
I think in this case, we don't want anything from the shower that could possibly go to the Memphis aquifer. So you have to properly abandon everything and make sure there's no opportunity for anything to get back in there or for accident for a child, somebody to fall into as well.
That's probably it. Okay. All right. At this point, do we have a motion either to begin? Yes, go ahead. Ms. Patterson.
And also, since that field abandonment, a lot of people, the homeowners are not aware that we are supposed to be out there when they feel and abandon that field. So I just want to make sure Mr. Yoder knows that we are to be at the location when they feel abandoned, that we are concerned for that.
Okay.
Does the well, I'm just curious, does the well driller, are they the ones that have to go through the process of abandoning that? Is that something that they could do before they start drilling the new well all in one shot, or how does that work?
Well, it's based on their schedule, but
Okay.
normally they will fill and abandon that one first. But I just want to let you know that
Yes.
for me, that we need to be out there.
More
in
than
order to
happy
see.
to make sure that happens, yeah. Sounds good.
And
So maybe-
we'll need an application for a fill and abandonment. of
Okay,
that well.
we can, that's no problem at all. I was just trying to ask or make sure that we could align it up. Since they're coming from Brownsville, could they do the abandonment first? And as they're there, then start digging? Could we
They
do
can
that
have
all?
two teams out there.
Huh?
They can have two teams out there.
Okay,
There's no problem.
okay, perfect, thank you.
According to the permit, there's an application for the permit. They're they're thinking they're gonna set this well at 200 feet. Is that correct?
I spoke to the neighbor whose father was the one that owned the property, and I asked him, how deep did they have to go on the other well that they abandoned? He said from his from his recollection, he thought that they went 60 feet and had water. Now that's just giving you information from what he said. I have no idea.
And according to what Mr. Scott said from Protect Our Offer, 60 feet might get you to the Lusahatchee. There's apparently a little band or shallow aquifer there.
Oh,
that
gotcha.
You could pull in that way. But you from I'm going to venture to say from a health standpoint, you probably want to go a little deeper to make sure you don't pull in any contamination.
That would be no problem at all. We could go as deep as we needed to as far as I was concerned.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do any of the board, do I hear a motion at this time? Any motions? Anybody want to suggest? Put a motion on the floor.
Okay, I'm going to put a motion on the floor that we allow the applicant to move forward, but he must first abandon the existing well per the Department of Rules and Regulations. And second, that he needs to go at least around 200 feet from the depth to get to the Memphis Aquifer as opposed to the shallow aquifer.
So we have a motion and it's been proposed and seconded by Alex. The motion again is to abandon the current perceived well or cistern, whatever it may be, the current noted excavation, the hole that is there, and then to drill the new water production well for it.
And let me admit it's like they also need to comply with making sure they have a well request. So that needs to be part of it as well.
So how should we amend it then to say that also in addition, it should be above, the wellhead should be 2 feet minimum above the floodplain?
County's requirements.
Meet the county's requirements, as Bill McCray has stated. Right? It's been seconded by Alex. Any other amendments to that motion? At this time, I would like to bring this motion before the board to a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Or none opposed? Mr. Yoder, thank you for coming in. I know this is not easy for public speaking, is not an easy thing. Please make sure you coordinate with the Shelby County Health Department, all the requirements, everything that you will need to do. I believe this will have to be on an annual kind of maintenance where they come out and check it, but get with them and they'll help direct you and everything else they need from you.
Thank you for your time. You guys are great. Thank you. And the health department staff, they've been awesome as well. So more than happy to work with them and making sure we're 100% good.
Thank you.
And also thanks, you're going to make a big impact on the kids too. So thank you.
That's two.
Well, as a board, do we want this, look at the public comment, and then if they come back and vote on approval, we want to do something now? We want to make a rule, or do we want to make a guide stop it right now, or something? Or we got to
Start crafting it.
yeah, we want to craft something that'll be for consideration for the next meeting for approval. It's not approved.
But not
just
to
me.
vote.
Yeah, it's not a vote, it's
Yeah.
just a craft. and for-
Start discussing, so this would be business of the board, really require public comments and other. We've had some public comments allowed for that. This will be our business on public comments, to make that clear.
I think we have,
When we have.
what the rule is, that's in the packet.
What page?
If this ain't gonna say anything about it, or we just gonna have the discussion, yet then you got this one to mention.
We don't have any comments on it. Don't know what you did. Like I said, there are bylaws that we can have over the order.
This is short, I'll just read over it, just so I'll have it, it's short. This was an act, House Bill number 448 by Representative Davis, Fritz, Sapinski, Hardaway, Lynn, and Slater, substituted for Senate Bill number 551 by Senators Lowe and Jackson, an act to amend the Tennessee Code annotated Title 8, Chapter 44, Part 1, relative to the public meetings. And this was being enacted by the General Assembly of the State of Tennessee. Section 1, Tennessee Code annotated Title 8, Chapter 44, Part 1 is amended by adding the following as a new section. The governing body shall, for each public meeting, reserve a period for public comment. Tell us how much a public comment. Provide the public with the opportunity to comment on matters that are germane to the items on the agenda of the meeting. So, the governing body may put reasonable restrictions on the period of public comment, such as the length of the period, the number of speakers, and the length of time that each speaker will be allowed to provide comment. The governing body may require a person to give notice in advance of the desire to offer comments at a meeting. The governing body shall take all practical steps to ensure that opposing viewpoints are represented fairly, if any. The notice for a public meeting shall indicate the manner in which a person may indicate the person's desire to provide public comment at the meeting. The section does not apply to a meeting of a governing body or proportionary where the governing body is conducting a disciplinary hearing for a member of the governing body or a person whose profession or activities fall within the jurisdiction of the governing body, or a meeting for which there are no actionable items on the agenda. This act takes effect July 1st, 2023, public welfare requirement. Okay, so it sounds like we can set the number of speakers, the length of time. There are some parameters that we will need to agree upon as far as how many, how long, how much time we allow for this, and even what mechanism do we allow for comment? Say, it said that we could require them to have an indication of wanting to speak prior to the meeting. That would require some sort of methodology, input and output, some means of communication, two-way. Some sort of registration website or something like that. Some kind of like email, you'd have to have a way to indicate. Ms. Houston pointed out that we may need some more communication on our meetings. There was something that was indicated as far as how does the public know that there's a meeting and what is that meeting about. So those would be, I feel like those would need to be in place if we want to have advanced warning of public comment. Yes, go ahead, Ms. Sonny. And that, where is that published? Is that published in which? In the newspaper?
Yeah, it is on our website.
So let me just offer this right here first. So for the public comment section, typically that is at the beginning of the meeting. So I think that may be, if we're looking at the agenda now, I'm thinking it may need to go out for the roll call. Everybody in agreement? If I'm looking at the agenda. I agree.
So you like that better?
Yes, I think so.
How does that, I mean, in terms of discussion, if we're discussing this well and then someone realizes, oh, well, I actually have a comment, that would be a response to the meeting as what's going on in the meeting. For example, Mr. Scott, I don't remember.
Schaefer-Knocker.
Sorry, say it again?
Just Schaefer-Knocker, but Scott's fine.
Okay. Scott pointed out that he was concerned about the well taps, and that was something that came up post conversation. So I don't know that.
Typically, the public comments are at the beginning.
Okay.
So then you had Mr. Harris and all of us, they were, right, our board meeting, I think the city council, county, all those are at the beginning.
Yeah, they do a mix of, like the county commission does a public comment period at the beginning that's more general, and then they allow you to make comments on each item as well. They also, in their permanent rules of order, they do, I think this would, I'm not a fan of this, but if there are like 10,000 people here and we need to limit time, then I think they offered that discretion to the chair to give a specific amount of time, like Clinton was talking about 20 minutes for a whole group to speak on an item. So I think that would be good. I think, yeah, having a public comment to consider before each appeal would be helpful to the board, in my perspective.
So you're saying at the beginning, what we're suggesting right there, is where you fill in
Yeah.
together.
Before
I think the item's supposed to already be the information that, as far as what they're appealing, is it information available to the public as well?
It is, they can come to our office and get that information. That's fine.
Can you show us on the website? Are we able to? I mean, we don't have someone driving now, so I don't know. Maybe asking something.
No, it's on,
Yeah, I mean, just how does it just, I think there was some discussion on.
I think that goes to the point, your point, Alex, what you're suggesting. I'm just saying, is it available? Is this information that we get, that's in our appointment available to the public
Yeah.
to speak on beforehand?
Is it only available if you drive to the health department to get it?
that's the way it is.
Okay, so that is highly restricted.
So we might have to, we have to. I think for the most part, you should agenda and everything, what we're talking about, that should be, I guess, that should be on the website as far as the order. All this should be available for at least, I guess, a couple of weeks. But I think it can get amended, but at least if it's there for the people to see it, know it's going to be appealed.
Yeah.
So we can go at the beginning and we can see if we want to allow comment, for specific items. Would that be limited? I don't think you can really have. That'll make for a long meeting.
Yeah, no, you're right, absolutely right.
You can also, I think the commission, they allow people to speak on multiple items at once. That could be something that we consider too. So I think it's the same amount of time or maybe 1 more minute if you want to speak on multiple items.
I say we offer public comments at the beginning, and then we consider if we have kind of specific limited time comments on the item that goes forward. But I think we need to make sure that the agenda is available as far as the item. There's, with items that are making it available for the public to see before. I gave it 2 weeks prior. If there's somewhere they can go on the website, if they can
Look at the application.
the information that's included. Would that be what we're talking about?
What would the public need to see to make public comment? I mean, that's essentially what we're asking. If we want to define public speak, if you have to submit a request prior to the board meeting, you have to see all of the information the board needs. If we're allowing them to come in and have public comment as, they're just here and they want to make public comment, that would maybe be a little less restrictive. And then obviously we all have time to consider. Time is not unlimited.
Well, I think if they see this beforehand, it makes it more efficient for us when we have the meeting, because instead of them listening to it and then coming up with it, they can come before and let us know. So I think they would need to see the packet, at least, in my opinion.
Yeah. And I think it's pretty, I would not prefer a requirement in advance, that they let us know in advance. I think that they could. I think also we're asking a lot, obviously. And so I think there could be some kind of phasing of what happens. So if we want to just allow for public comment at the beginning at first, give everyone 2 minutes to speak generally or to an item, and then move to the phase where the health department is able to give the documents to the public in a place on a website where they can find it. I think that would be good, and it would be months or so. I don't know how long that might take to set up. But I don't want it to be, I don't want to put too much burden on y'all, but I do think we need all of these things. That there's an ability for them to, like, they can email the commission. There's somewhere to email their comments in advance if they can't make it. That they can see all of the materials that we have, 2 weeks in advance. I think that makes sense. And that they would be able to have a piece of paper that they sign and say, we want to speak at this meeting, just picking it up at the front. I think, all of those things, I think would be helpful.
I think what it's going to be is that in Shelby County, the governor or the layers will probably have to come in and assist you with what they do for the county commission and maybe other. I think that's where it's going. So they can provide assistance.
Sounds like a big easy. It's like this thing.
I think it's
right.
needs to be done.
In terms of it being a commission and the open document sunshine. Seems required.
There could be something said in the comment section that we didn't consider, so I think it's fine.
And at this point, the best we can do is just kind of extemporaneously, as we're trying to figure out the best, is allow public comment. If rules already been passed by the state legislature, we'll just do our best. We will have we need to know how, I think we've set, I saw 2 minutes, that seems to work out for everybody.
Is everybody okay with 2 minutes?
But we'll also need to, we'll need to find out, maybe, I don't, doing a lot of yielding the floor, and somebody else doing what someone else wants to do. All these kind of things we need to consider, but.
I think 2 minutes is good. We go ahead later if we want to adjust it, we can adjust it. I think, based on the comments, we can see how it goes. We want to then think 4 times, then we can adjust it as the board. So I think 2 minutes makes it fair. And like I say, 20 or 30 minutes for comments or overall, it's just, we just don't want to be, wow, I think I know if everybody 20 or 30 overall public comments, I don't know if anybody is.
20 would seem to be, if you had 20 minutes, there would be a lot of activity going on, and speakers. So,
Yeah. So I think that would, the initial part of it, I think that would help. I think we do need to have some kind of email where they can email comments to. So we do need to make that available so that they can provide comments.
And that we can see those comments.
Yeah.
in advance.
Yes.
So those would need to be forwarded to the board members, is what we're saying. If comments go to the email, and I don't know how y'all do it. I know the city has some general emails where like the whole
Right.
groundwater board folk or groundwater people can see, or even the groundwater board. But anyway, however you can set up an email that is readable by a group of folks.
No question.
When we put the items on the website for the public to view the appeals, we want to protect, their personal information. So just like that out. Yes,
So,
have,
Let
the
me ask you a
address.
question, is anything that is in our packet now, if somebody made a public record request, would they not get it?
Council. It should go to your public record, it should go to your legal counsel first and let them determine. You should not be determining yourself.
Gotcha. I'll get direction.
That's the attorney part.
Having canceled, in the past we did, I know when we met up in Bartlett, I think it was in Bartlett, right, the Bartlett City Hall, we had counsel with us.
And the last time we met, well, the time flood, the attorney was here.
Yes, I do remember.
So I think that answers that question. So I think we got, I guess we'll be the rough draft of what we're considering, what we may vote on next time. I guess we can get that typed up, I guess, and that'd be part of the minutes and send it in, so we make sure that we know we can vote next time to see. And Mike, some public comments back in what we see.
One of my questions is this, is there rules and regulations specifically for the board? Because I know we have the well regulations, and you may have given us that in our packet, and we kind of describe what we got.
One is for the groundwater board meeting, and the other is well construction. Yes.
Well, okay, so this
The other one is the groundwater board.
So this one, the one that is this nice little packet with the black clip, that's the rules. That's the well rules and regulations of wells in Shelby County.
Yes.
And then this nice one over here with the black paper clip, it looks like it is taken from.
That's the code. That's the ordinance, right? Ordinance.
Yes.
And that's this is regarding the board.
Yes.
Yes.
Our function.
Yes.
I think that was what one of the comments was referring to.
I did hear a comment on that. I think I did. So in this would be something valuable for us to have with us. You know, I try to keep a free reminder stuff, because there's stuff that you want to have with you all the time. For example, our list of board members. Again, we did have a request that we send out, at this point, 2 letters to 2 municipalities, one being the City of Memphis, one being the City of Millington, regarding filling the two open positions. And I think it'll go through the Plinko, about Price is Right, Plinko, where the whole thing goes through all the things eventually into the right place. It'll go through the system.
So I'm thinking, as far as that, but I think the fence with that one, but I think the other one is that we need to, in our packet is what I think the health department needs to go over as far as this, the new user fee increase.
So,
That's in our packet right here.
it's probably the last one. So, the last. So we're asking, this is not and this is a draft. So we're asking that the board, as you know, we have been working on this report for a while. So if you all could review this and give us your feedback. Or you can.
To note, there are some that are not here. I know Terry Perkins and Bartlett, they're not here as well. So if we could make sure that this gets emailed to and let them know that we need to read over it first, correct? And we'll discuss it in our next meeting.
Yes, correct.
So this is for, you're highlighting this as
Your homework.
a submission.
So, as I this fee is 5 cents per meter. Is there, so your proposed part here right now is what it is? Basically, everything that they have in your code system, and I appreciate it as a document that's not long per read, but we should be able to look at this information. What you're asking for, where we need to increase the fees to meet the needs that, well, the groundwater control board, I think the health department operates system, I guess, enforcement arm, and we're the volunteer board.
Yes. So enhance washability branch.
All things just actual.
Yes. And to help continue to do the key functions of the water quality management.
Do the respective municipalities have, does this have to come to any municipalities or go through councilmen?
I think too, what's missing too, that we, brief discussion, we're gonna have to, probably email out the existing contracts that we do every year that we pay the meter fees off. That contract has to be amended in order for this fee to be confirmed and approved by in our case, our board, our city councils, or board aldermen.
That's contract 9955.
So each municipality that has, then I think we need to clarify, then, that may have to go into the ordinance that's written to as far as the membership of the board dealing with that as well.
And that contract is one of the exhibits that's mentioned in this report. So when it's time to present, all of the exhibits will be shown to you all. So you will see in the report where it mentions exhibits.
So just so I understand, I think I've walked through this process in a different way, but we have to approve whatever here, right? Whatever we want to do, and then go to NLPW. And then that has to go before the Shelby County Commission, right?
Well, be part of ordinance, yes.
Well, yes and no. It's not just MLGW. This is for each, the seats at the table are municipalities that have water systems. Germantown, Bartlett, Millington, and, what is it? Cargill. So, and, we're a part, MLGW acquired our own system. We acquired the Shelby County Board systems. So, those are really technically the ones that pay these fees that support the health department. So, we need to, that goes into the fact that the contract has been amended, and probably the ordinance that was also, may have to be looked at as well, because of what it says.
Okay.
The city ordinances may have to be changed to amend.
Yes, the city ordinance, because Germantown, I think they approved the contract a year after everybody else signed on.
Yes.
Ordinances in every municipality.
Perhaps, I just think.
Okay.
It's the same.
Yeah, the same meter fee. They all pay the same meter fee.
And I don't know here if you're proposing, is the meter fees the same for all meters, or are we talking about a meter fee for residential versus commercial? Is it all the same?
Right now, we're just asking all the same.
And to your point, Alex, that's what we always have to do. We change the ordinance in Shelby. We then have to push it out to each municipality. And it's a long process because they do it 3 readings. We're going to do it 3 readings. Each municipality is doing it. It's like, if we do this with the air monitor, each process, each municipality has to adopt it. Now, City of Memphis has it where automatically, if something changes with the air monitoring program, it's automatically adopted into their program as it stands. They have that language in there. And I'm trying to think that there's one other municipality that has that as well. So that makes it easier that every time we make a change, they'll automatically adopt it into their ordinance. But it will have to be presented to each one.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit bigger. When you said it, I was kind of trying to say, yeah, no, it's not that simple.
I forgot about that. Specific. Yeah.
I really wish it was.
This reminds me, the gentleman that was in here before, his wastewater is going into Bartlett. It's gonna be on a well, so how's it gonna be billed for sewer fees? We have that, I say that because we have I know a specific case in Memphis where they have, they have sewer, they have the well, but then they're discharging, and they didn't even make, for a while, they were discharging without having sewer fees. Well, something to consider for the Shelby County.
Last thing I asked, and this right here, does the health department, are they asking any kind of additional funding for, I guess, auxiliary support, like for hydrology or something like this, or is it mainly for having internal health department staff?
It's for water quality branch staff.
With staff, I guess I asked this question for, with staff to be augmented by some kind of auxiliary support for specific items to expertise wise?
For example, we have, Caesar is doing studies on all the aquifer in the whole area, see the University of Memphis, right? So there. But, how much do you have, you have a database, or you have database analysts that are looking at the water draw out from all the wells? Do you have people that are supporting your ArcGIS layer? I'm assuming you have an ArcGIS layer. Do you have an ArcGIS? Next question.
So with this report, we have help with study, with comparing, the fees, the different fees. Right now, we're asking for the increase in the meter fees. But yes, we need to look at the other fees in our department as well. And we have done a study comparing different states and different cities, counties within Tennessee to see where we are compared to the others. We are obviously low as far as what our fees are.
Okay.
So, and as far as expertise for staff, we talk about hiring, bringing in more technicians. But of course, we would need, this is why we need money, we need more funding in order to do that, to bring in extra staff.
Well, we'll look at it, we'll look at it, I think, we'll look at some suggestions, maybe consulting services that may augment what you have for things that may get into more specialized fields and stuff that may sometimes that come up. That might help the groundwater portion of the water. So that may be something to consider, since that's like a little bit, but I don't think there are other issues that may augment based on how the ordinance is set up for the groundwater board. In the past, when you're groundwater, it's just an extra bit purpose what we can look to see. We want to do that in commercial social services like EMC, somebody so we can.
Well, in one of our just maybe ask them to review it and then point out a lot of those issues.
Okay.
Again, some of our key functions, water sampling, equipment for the technicians, vehicles for the technicians. So all of that's in here and it explains, why we're asking and why we need more additional funding.
So in this, does it talk about the number of employees in your department?
Yes.
And the number of wells, and it's probably, I think you just said something about vehicle maintenance, vehicles and all that things.
Because the last time we talked about this, you all did mention to us that we need to add duties and responsibilities for the technical specialists, and that is in here. What the technical specialists need to do their job effectively, we added that here. And then the why it's important. So all of that has been added, so we're just asking for more feedback. So we can hopefully, yes, get it finalized.
I mean, even if the board, we say it sounds good, ultimately, where does does it go? I mean, are we the ones that, I don't think we put all this into play. I think we might agree or help get the feedback. So, I mean, you have to take it to where?
Well, I think what she's asking right now is that we have what the proposal for, we need to review it. So the other step is that we go back and alert our municipalities. Oh, you don't have any problem, but we go back and
Opportunity.
to let them know, or go to our county or send, county commission and the municipal, board of aldermen, let them know what's coming their way so they be prepared for it, so this won't be here.
Right.
Do we have any other business or anything else we need to consider? We covered I think we covered some of the other business that we have, and encourage us all to review our well rules and regulations as well, just so we know when we're asking questions, we can ask more pertinent, I feel like, questions that are based on the rules and regulations before us that are reasons for appeals. Any other business anybody has?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion has been put to adjourn. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you for all you guys have provided for us. I would like to mention, I don't think anyone from Ducks Unlimited is here, but we did thank them for using this facility. So if you go by, make sure you show some appreciation.